And now, if you don't mind, we're going to get to the news. Today was Groundhog Day, and Punxsutawney Phil predicted 6 more weeks of winter when he emerged from his burrow and immediately shattered. According to analysis from the New York Times, the new batch of Epstein files released by the Justice Department on Friday contained more than 5,300 references to President Trump. They do? Who was in charge of redacting the files? Hillary Clinton? Did the Sharpie just run out of ink? That's right. The Justice Department released more documents from the Jeffrey Epstein files, including 180,000 images. And I just got to ask, what's with all the pictures? I'm not trying to help anyone be a pedophile. I'm just saying, if I were going to a sex island, I'd hope it was a phones off kind of deal. These guys took pictures like they were making a coffee table book. According to newly released documents, Jeffrey Epstein corresponded with New York Giants co-owner Steve Tisch and appeared to connect Tisch with women. The Giants haven't been this embarrassed since, well, recently, but still. You never get used to it. According to the same documents, Elon Musk appeared to ask Jeffrey Epstein in 2012 if he could visit his island and said, quote, "What day night will be the wildest party on your island? I don't know, if I had to guess, the day you leave?" President Trump criticized the Grammy Awards in a post early this morning on Truth Social and said the ceremony was, quote, "virtually unwatchable." And that's saying something, coming from the guy who sat through Melania twice. President Trump also threatened to sue Grammy Awards host Trevor Noah for joking that Trump spent time on Jeffrey Epstein's island and said, quote, "It looks like I'll be sending my lawyers to sue this poor, pathetic, talentless dope of an MC. Unfortunately, his lawyer showed up to the wrong Grammys." I think those Grammys seem too happy to see him. Oh, look, Rudy's back. That's right. President Trump threatened to sue Trevor Noah for joking that Trump spent time on Jeffrey Epstein's island and said, quote, "Get ready, Noah. I'm going to have some fun with you," which, not for nothing, sounds like something you might hear on Epstein Island. So. When asked last week what audiences will feel after watching First Lady Melania Trump's new documentary, President Trump said, quote, "It really brings back a glamour that you just don't see anymore. And Lord knows he's tried." Amtrak last week unveiled a limited edition so-called tracksuit inspired by its next-gen Acela fleet, not to be confused with the New Jersey Transit tracksuit, which is just a tracksuit. And finally, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission issued an executive order last week allowing residents to collect green iguanas that have been temporarily paralyzed by cold temperatures and bring them to designated collection sites, like this one. Just so much run-up just to burn Arby's. I have so many questions about that news story, but do we get to that? No, we just gotta burn Arby's. After speaking yesterday with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, President Trump said that Modi is one of his, quote, "greatest friends." Said Modi, "Thank you. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard." We've talked like 3 times. In a new interview, President Trump claimed that Republicans should, quote, "nationalize the voting" because Trump believes there was no way this wasn't fraud. President Trump said over the weekend that the biggest problem in the U.S. is that Democratic politicians are, quote, "soft on crime," as opposed to Trump, who couldn't be more into it. According to a new analysis from the New York Times, the new batch of Epstein files released by the Justice Department on Friday contained more than 5,300 references to President Trump. Of course, that doesn't prove anything. I've mentioned him way more than 5,300 times. But he's never been here. President Trump said in a new interview that he would be willing to help the United Nations amid its budget crisis. Dude, you couldn't even figure out the escalator at the United Nations. What are you going to do if accounting is on the 2nd floor? According to the latest number, First Lady Melania Trump's documentary, Melania, made more than $7 million this weekend at the box office, mostly from disappointed little girls who thought they were seeing Moana. In honor of Valentine's Day, more than 200 Waffle House locations are set to reopen as a reservation-only restaurant with candles and white tablecloths. Great if you're looking to get into a huge fight with someone besides the staff. And finally, the Staten Island Zoo yesterday held its annual Groundhog Day celebration, and as usual, the groundhog didn't see nothing. President Trump sat for an interview today with NBC News anchor Tom Llamas, or as he introduced himself to Trump, Tom Johnson. During his White House visit yesterday, Colombian President Gustavo Petro reportedly presented President Trump with chocolate and coffee. Well, I'm sure he ate the chocolate, but let's also hope he drank the coffee. During an Oval Office event on Monday, President Trump said that the Justice Department should stop releasing documents from the Epstein files. Well, of course he did. That's like Spirit Airlines saying I should stop releasing the monologue. It's because they know they're in it. During an Oval Office signing ceremony yesterday, President Trump promoted First Lady Melania Trump's new documentary and called her a, quote, movie star. All right, let's not go overboard. It's a documentary. It's not like those penguins got paid $20 million for their next picture. Calling their agents like, no, there's no work. There's no work. Can you do other birds? During an Oval Office signing ceremony yesterday, President Trump also criticized CNN reporter Caitlin Collins and said he never sees her smile. Oh, so she's his type. When asked on Monday about the Trump family's cryptocurrency company, President Trump said that his sons were the ones who brokered a deal to sell an equity stake to an investment firm tied to the United Arab Emirates for $500 million. If you want to know how many zeros that is, 2. The Smithsonian's National Zoo this week welcomed an elephant calf after a 21-month gestation, which weighed more than 300 pounds at birth. So good luck to the father ever winning an argument again. Maybe she'll forget. A 90-year-old English teacher in Michigan set the Guinness World Record this week for longest career in the classroom after teaching for 67 years. And this is exciting. She earned 3 vacation days. A hospital in France was evacuated recently after a male patient allegedly arrived with a World War I artillery shell in his rectum. Wow, I mean, I know men tend to put off doctor's visits, but that's just crazy. So it happened during World War I, and he just went to the doctor. I was lying on my belly in the foxhole. And finally, a New Jersey man was arrested at Miami International Airport over the weekend after authorities found more than 80 pounds of a cannabis concentrate product in his luggage. But how else was he supposed to get through the flight? See, I told you! The National Prayer Breakfast was held this morning in Washington, and attendees included President Trump and singer Jelly Roll. Just wish I could have been there when Trump found out it was the singer Jelly Roll. Well, this breakfast sucks. During his remarks this morning at the National Prayer Breakfast, President Trump said that he has done a lot for religion and added, quote, religion is back, now hotter than ever before. Well, he definitely has a lot more people saying, Jesus Christ. President Trump also said he was a very good student, but added, nobody would think so. Yeah, that's not a brag. I'm very smart, but you wouldn't know it from the way I act and talk and think. During his remarks this morning at the National Prayer Breakfast, President Trump said that the soldiers in Washington, D.C., quote, beat the crap out of criminals. Man, if that's the way he talks at the prayer breakfast, I can't imagine what he said at the National Violence Breakfast. President Trump also said this morning that he bombed ISIS fighters on Christmas Day. It's the worst birthday present Jesus has gotten since the frankincense. I got nervous about saying frankincense, so I said worth. President Trump also discussed the 2024 election and added, quote, "I had to win. I needed it for my own ego." Whoa, sounds like someone's finally in therapy. His next speech is going to start with, "I need this applause because my daddy didn't love me." President Trump held an event tonight to unveil a new website where consumers can purchase prescription drugs at a reduced cost. It's called Canada.com. That's right, President Trump unveiled his new Trump RX website and Centers for Medicare, and with Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator Dr. Mehmet Oz. Man, if you had told me 25 years ago that I could buy drugs online from a guy named Oz, I would have said, I'm doing that right now. During an Oval Office signing ceremony this week, Senator Lindsey Graham described President Trump's second term as, quote, Reagan plus. Plus what? Ambien? Vice President J.D. Vance arrived today in Italy for the Olympic Games, and who better to stand there and watch America go downhill? The Wall Street Journal published an article last week about Cracker Barrel's business travel policies, which include requiring employees to eat at one of the chain's locations for all or the majority of their meals. I guess that way they don't have to worry about paying their pensions. In hindsight, I understand how that joke went. Yeah, you know, I don't know what I thought. Yeah, woo! Yeah, we got him! And finally, the LGBTQ dating app Grindr announced this week that it will increase privacy tools for athletes in the Olympic Village in Italy. Great news for the biathletes.